Good morning, students. In today's lecture, I will cover cyanosis, hemodynamics of congenital heart diseases, and some important cyanotic heart disease. So, we have already completed the acyanotic heart disease, and cyanotic heart disease included two group with increased pulmonary blood flow, and second is with decreased pulmonary blood flow. Decreased pulmonary blood flow group have Eisenmenger syndrome and other cyanotic heart disease with pulmonary stenosis, and rest are with increased pulmonary blood flow. So before going into detail of cyanotic congenital heart disease, we will discuss cyanosis first, which is predominant symptom and sign for congenital cyanotic heart disease. So cyanosis is bluish discoloration of the body, which more evident on nail beds, lips, tongue, conjunctiva, oral cavity mucosa, and ear lobes. It occurs due to more than 5 gram percent of reduced hemoglobin in the blood, or 30% of the hemoglobin of total hemoglobin. When 30% of the hemoglobin or more than 30% of the hemoglobin is reduced. And in severe anemia, cyanosis may not be evident because of low hemoglobin. And depending on the mechanism and cause of cyanosis may be divided into central cyanosis, peripheral cyanosis, mixed cyanosis, and differential cyanosis and reverse differential cyanosis. So first is central cyanosis. So central cyanosis, the mechanism behind cyanosis is decreased oxygenation, which can be due to decreased atmospheric oxygen, like in high altitude, or maybe due to respiratory causes like asthma, which causes alveolar hypoventilation, foreign body or obstruction of the airway, which causes ventilation perfusion mismatch, or pneumonia or ARDS, which causes impaired oxygen diffusion. Then next is cardiac. Cardiac causes include cyanotic heart disease. Then pulmonary arteriovenous fistula can leads to right to left shunt and cyanosis, central cyanosis. And last cause is abnormal hemoglobin like methemoglobin, which is a form of reduced hemoglobin, and level of methemoglobin more than 1.5 gram percent or 10% of the total hemoglobin can lead to central cyanosis. And similarly, carboxyhemoglobin in carbon monoxide poisoning or sulf hemoglobinemia can also lead to central cyanosis. So the site for central cyanosis are soft palate, tongue, inner side of lips, then nail beds, conjunctiva, and oral mucosa. And how will you differentiate respiratory cyanosis from cardiac cyanosis? So cardiac cyanosis patients are relatively stable than patient with cyanosis of respiratory origin, because in respiratory cyanosis is feature of respiratory failure and patient will be very sick. And cyanosis improving on crying and by giving oxygen is a feature of respiratory cyanosis. And polycythemia and clubbing are more associated with cyanosis of cardiac origin. Next is peripheral cyanosis, and mechanism behind peripheral cyanosis is slowing of blood, and example are acrocyanosis in newborn, then peripheral vascular disease, diving reflex during birth asphyxia, in which blood supply of the vital organ are increased, and peripheral or skin tissues blood supply is decreased. Site for peripheral cyanosis are tip of fingers and toes, and then tip of nose, palm, and sole. So, other than site of the peripheral and central cyanosis, we can differentiate both central and peripheral cyanosis on the basis of cold extremities in peripheral cyanosis and cyanosis improving on oxygen in central cyanosis, and peripheral cyanosis not respond to oxygen. Then polycythemia and clubbing are again feature of central cyanosis. Next is mixed cyanosis, which has both mechanism decreased oxygenation as well as slowing of the blood flow, like in cardiogenic shock or CHF. Then next is differential cyanosis. So differential cyanosis is a condition where upper part of body is pink and lower part is cyanosed. It happens when deoxygenated blood directly enters into systemic circulation through patent ductus arteriosus or any other shunt. So when deoxygenated blood directly enters the systemic circulation without entering the lungs, the part of the body distal to this shunt is therefore cyanosed, and the part of the body supplied by normal oxygenated blood will be pink. So in differential cyanosis, periductal saturation will be more than postductal saturation, and condition responsible for this is patent ductus arteriosus with reversal of the blood flow or pulmonary hypertension. So first example is persistent pulmonary hypertension of newborn, then Eisenmenger syndrome in ASD, VSD and PDA, and coarctation of aorta with patent ductus arteriosus. So this is example of coarctation of aorta with PDA. It will lead to decreased saturation in lower limb and normal saturation in both upper limb. Then reverse differential cyanosis is the condition where only the upper part of body is cyanosed and the lower part is pink. It happens when above condition of differential cyanosis are reversed by transposition of great arteries. So in reverse differential cyanosis, postductal saturation will be more than periductal saturation, and examples are TGA with PDA and reversal of blood flow, and TGA with coarctation of aorta with PDA. So this condition associated with TGA leads to reverse differential cyanosis. Now come to hemodynamics of congenital heart diseases. So first is pre and post tricuspid shunt. We have already discussed in acyanotic congenital heart disease. Pre-tricuspid shunts are ASD, PAPVC and TAPVC, partial and total anomalous pulmonary venous connection. And post-tricuspid shunts are PDA and VSD. Then second is duct dependent pulmonary and systemic flow. So in duct dependent pulmonary circulation, there is pulmonary atresia or right ventricular outflow obstruction, critical like critical pulmonary stenosis, in which pulmonary flow is dependent on systemic circulation through the patent ductus arteriosus. And in duct dependent systemic circulation, there is obstruction in left ventricular outflow tract, critical aortic stenosis, or correction of aorta or aortic interrupted aortic arch, in which systemic circulation is dependent on duct or pulmonary blood for blood supply in peripheral organ. So This duct dependent lesion typically present early in life within 2 to 3 days of life at the time of closure of duct, and prostaglandins even infusion given as emergency treatment to maintain patency of the duct till palliative or corrective surgery. And duct dependent systemic circulation will present with increased pulmonary blood flow, and duct dependent pulmonary circulation will present with decreased pulmonary blood flow. And deep cyanosis, this duct dependent pulmonary circulation will present with deep cyanosis, and duct dependent systemic circulation will present with SOAP and present early in the life. Next hemodynamic is single ventricle physiology, also called admixture physiology. Here, deoxygenated and oxygenated blood mixes well, so cyanosis will be mild to moderate and present early after decreasing the pulmonary vascular resistance after 4 to 6 weeks of life, and there will be increased pulmonary blood flow because pulmonary vascular resistance is low in comparison to systemic vascular resistance, so pulmonary flow will be more, and they will present with CHF. Example are when one ventricle is rudimentary, like hypoplastic left heart syndrome or truncus arteriosus, where mixing is good and single ventricle is pushing in aorta as well as pulmonary artery. Then next is parallel circulation. The typical example of parallel circulation is TGA, transposition of great artery, when aorta is connected to right ventricle and pulmonary artery is connected to left ventricle. So there will be parallel circulation of systemic blood flow and pulmonary blood flow. Deoxygenated blood circulate through the body, and oxygenated blood circulate through the heart and lungs. So these parallel circulation will present with deep cyanosis early in life with increased pulmonary blood flow through the patent ductus arteriosus and metabolic abnormality of metabolic acidosis. Last is Fallot's physiology or VSD-PS physiology. The chief component of this physiology is large size of VSD and pulmonary stenosis. So pulmonary stenosis leads to decreased pulmonary blood flow, and VSD leads to decompression of right ventricle and right to left shunt, leading to cyanosis. So this disease present with the mild cyanosis, decreased pulmonary blood flow, and present later in life after 6 months of life or 1 year, 1 to 3 year of age, depending on severity of pulmonary stenosis. One more characteristic feature of this VSD-PS physiology is anoxic spale or cyanotic spale, also called Tate spale or hypoxic spale or hypercyanotic spale. So this is particular of VSD-PS physiology, and result this is result of sudden decrease in pulmonary blood flow, and it occur predominantly after waking up or following exertion, and present in form of after sudden crying, sudden onset of deepening of cyanosis, sudden onset of dyspnea with alteration of consciousness, and reflex anoxic seizure may be there, and decrease in the intensity of the systolic murmur because pulmonary stenosis is increasing, and frequency varies from once in few days to numerous attack every day. So pathophysiology behind cyanotic spell is crying and stimulation leads to right ventricular outflow tract spasm, and activity leads to decrease in systemic vascular resistance. Crying or stimulation lead to sympathetic stimulation, and sympathetic stimulation leads to right ventricular outflow tract spasm or infundibular spasm, which increase the resistance or pulmonary stenosis and lead to increased right to left shunt. Okay, then this lead to decreased pH, increased PCO2 level in the blood, and decreased PO2 level, and increased CO2 level in the blood lead to tachypnea, and tachypnea leads to, or deep respiration lead to venous increased venous return, and increased venous return further increases right to left shunt. So this vicious cycle continue and result in deep cyanosis, unconsciousness, and even anoxic seizure, and even death in some cases. So how will you manage this cyanotic spell? Knee chest position, like in this picture, or squatting will lead to increased systemic vascular resistance and decreased venous return. So decreased right to left shunt. Then humidified oxygen inhalation leads to decreased pulmonary vascular resistance and increased pulmonary blood flow, and increased pulmonary blood flow lead to increased oxygenation. Then morphine can be used for sedation and pain relief. Then IV fluid, if cyanotic spell is triggered by dehydration, and metabolic acidosis can be corrected with help of sodium bicarbonate. Propranolol in dose of 0.1 mg per kg during spell or maintenance oral dose will lead to decreased sympathetic activity and decrease the spasm of infundibular. Then vasopressor like methoxamine or IV drip of phenylphylline can be used in severe cases, and correct anemia and consider surgery if frequency is more. So again come to classification of congenital cyanotic heart disease, divided into two groups on the basis of pulmonary blood flow. So in increased pulmonary blood flow group, TGA, transposition of great artery, is the second most common cyanotic heart disease after TOF and example of parallel circulation. Then TAPVD is pre-tricuspid shunt, leading to good mixing of both oxygenated as well as deoxygenated blood in right atrium. Then truncus arteriosus is single ventricle physiology with increased pulmonary blood flow, and single ventricle without PS will lead to increased pulmonary blood flow, because without PS there is decreased pulmonary vascular resistance in comparison to systemic vascular, so pulmonary blood flow will be more. Then decreased pulmonary blood flow group include Eisenmenger syndrome after VSD, SD, and PDA, and pulmonary stenosis group, which include most common cyanotic heart disease TOF, which is 5 to 7% of all congenital heart disease. Then Epstein anomaly, tricuspid atresia, both are example of admixture physiology, where mixing is occurs in left atrium, after right to left shunt. Then pulmonary atresia is example of duct dependent pulmonary circulation. Then single ventricle with pulmonary stenosis. And these all disease will present with increased pulmonary blood flow features like basal tachypnea, recurrent pneumonia, or lower respiratory tract infection, and suck cycle, all the sign of CHI. So, tetralogy of Fallot, which is most common congenital heart disease, and almost 75% of the all cyanotic heart disease after 2 years of age, and 5 to 7% of all CSD. Components of TOF include ventricular septal defect, which is perimembranous infundibular type of VSD, then right ventricular outflow obstruction in form of subpulmonic or infundibular pulmonary stenosis, then aortic overriding of aorta, and hypertrophy of right ventricle. Similarly, pentalogy of Fallot include all above plus ASD, and trilogy of Fallot include sorry in trilogy of Fallot there is no VSD but replaced by ASD, and PS plus RVH are there. So clinical feature, the top patient becomes symptomatic anytime after birth depend on severity of pulmonary stenosis, and usually they become symptomatic after 6 months of age with the anoxic spell, starting after 4 months of age with increased frequency and progressive disease, and they present with dyspnea on exertion, exercise intolerance, cyanosis. History of squatting is pathognomic of this anoxic spell. So hemodynamics of the this right to left shunt through VSD. So there will be normal S1 or first ultrasound. S2 will be single. So P2 comes early and A2 become delayed due to increased volume of the blood in left ventricle. So there will be single, and right ventricle is decongested or decompressed by this VSD. So there will be soft P2. So P2 will be inaudible, and second factor is P2 is P2 comes early and A2 is delayed, so there will be single second heart sound. Then murmur. So pressure difference is very low between right and left ventricle, so there will be no flow murmur of shunt. Uh, there will be no shunt murmur, but there will be flow murmur due to pulmonary stenosis. So pulmonary ejection systolic murmur of grade 3 will be there, and it will not increase with increased severity of pulmonary stenosis because right ventricle pressure will be decompressed by VSD. If there is isolated pulmonary stenosis, this murmur will increase with severity, but in TOF, murmur will decrease with severity because right ventricle will be decompressed by VSD. So maximum ejection systolic murmur will be of grade 3 without any thrill. Okay. And VSD is large non-restrictive type perimembranous. So severity of the TOF depend on degree of pulmonary stenosis, and this pulmonary stenosis leads to concentric right ventricular hypertrophy without cardiac enlargement and without any increase in right ventricular pressure. So flow from right ventricle to pulmonary artery across pulmonary stenosis produce ejection systolic murmur, and the intensity of the systolic murmur is inversely related to severity of pulmonary stenosis. So in cyanotic spell, when pulmonary stenosis worsen due to infundibular spasm, ejection systolic murmur will be disappeared or decrease. So CHF is rare in children with TOF because right ventricle is already decompressed by VSD, but in some condition they can develop CSF like in severe anemia, valvular regurgitation, infective endocarditis, if systemic hypertension is there, or coincidental myocardial disease is there. Physical examination will reveal cyanosis, clubbing, polycythemia, normal size heart on X-ray and palpation or percussion, then mild peristernal impulse due to right ventricular hypertrophy. CBC will reveal polycythemia, then chest X-ray suggestive of right ventricular hypertrophy. Upturned apex is pathognomic of right ventricular hypertrophy, and heart will be boot shaped, oligamic lung filled. Absence of concavity of pulmonary artery lead to boot-shaped heart. Upturned apex and absent concavity leads to boot-shaped heart. And right aortic arch in some cases. ECG will show right axis deviation or right ventricular hypertrophy, and echo is diagnostic of overriding aorta, right ventricular hypertrophy, and outflow obstruction. Complication include cerebral thrombosis, brain abscess are common with congenital cyanotic heart disease, bleeding diathesis due to chronic hypoxia of liver parenchymal cells, and infective endocarditis. Then CHF can be there in acyanotic pink TOF or when associated with severe anemia, endocarditis. Then CNS embolism may be there due to sluggish circulation of due to polycythemia, and hemiplegia can be there in during in infarction during anoxic spell. Then management of TOF patients. General measure are include correction of iron deficiency anemia. Even hemoglobin level is normal, you have to give iron to maintain hemoglobin on higher level. Then adequate hydration, antibiotics for infection, and prophylaxis with propranolol to decrease cyanotic spell and decrease sympathetic system. Then next is palliative surgery. Palliative surgery will increase pulmonary blood flow. So first is Bela-Tossing shunt, where subclavian artery is anastomosed to pulmonary artery. So this subclavian artery is anastomosed to ipsilateral pulmonary artery. So systemic blood is going to pulmonary blood flow, and oxygenation will be improved. Then port shunt connect descending aorta to pulmonary artery. So this is descending aorta, and here it is connected to pulmonary artery. And in Watterson shunt, ascending aorta here is connected to left side of pulmonary artery. Both have more complication, post-operative complication, and patient develop pulmonary hypertension due to large shunt and transfer of pressure and volume into pulmonary artery. Last is modified Bela-Loctosing shunt. So modified Bela-Loctosing shunt is used in infant of age between 3 months to 6 months, and after 6 months Bela-Loctosing shunt is uh, preferred. So in modified Bela-Loctosing shunt, a Goretex interposition is used to connect subclavian artery to ipsilateral pulmonary artery. Then corrective surgery include closure of the VSD and resecting of infundibular obstruction of pulmonary stenosis, and surgery can be performed at any age, and success rate is good, up to 85 to 90%. Next, second most common disease is TGA, transposition of great arteries. So this is normal heart structure in which pulmonary artery is anterior and aorta is posterior and towards right side. So when this aorta originate from right ventricle and placed anteriorly and right side, it's called DTGA or dextrum TGA. And if aorta is on the left side, it is called LTGA. So this is DTGA and this is LTGA. Here aorta is on right side and here aorta is on left side. So it is second most common cyanotic heart disease with male preponderance of 3 is to 1, 2 type DTGA and LTGA, and hemodynamics is of parallel circulation leading to progressive hypoxia and acidosis, and shunt is necessary for survival. So shunt at the level of atria, ventricle, or great arteries is necessary for mixing of the blood. Then left out left ventricle outflow tract or pulmonary stenosis with VSD leads to prolonged survival, and TGA with intact septum leads to deep cyanosis, and these babies are most sick patient at the time of birth. And PDA with reversal flow, as we have studied in cyanosis, lead to reverse differential cyanosis. So clinical feature include cyanosis, CHF due to increased pulmonary blood flow, then metabolic acidosis due to parallel circulation, and auscultatory findings include same as VSDPS physiology or TOF, S1 normal, S2 single, and ejection systolic murmur of PS or VSD. So almost all cyanotic heart disease have same feature: S1 normal, S2 single, ejection systolic murmur, and right ventricular hypertrophy. Then chest radiograph will show cardiomegaly and increased pulmonary vascular markings, and heart will be accept, and echo will be diagnostic. Surgical repair will include the mixing of blood or at the level of atria, ventricle, or great artery. So connecting the right atrium into left ventricle and atrium left atrium to the right ventricle is at atrial level is called Senning operation. Then second approach is connecting the aorta through the VSD to the left ventricle and connecting the pulmonary artery through a conduit, walled conduit to the right ventricle is called Rastelli operation. And third is great artery at the level of great arteries is arterial switch operation, in which pulmonary trunk is resected and joined to aortic root, and aortic trunk is resected and joined to pulmonary trunk. So this is the most preferred and surgery of choice for TGA with less complication, which is called arterial switch operation. Next condition is tricuspid atresia. So here is tricuspid atresia. So a patent foramen ovale right ventricular blood goes to left atrium blood through the patent foramen ovale with the mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, and this is duct dependent pulmonary flow type of condition and with admixture. So patient will present with deep cyanosis at birth and early in the uh, life in on day 2 or 3 when duct is closed. Then next condition is total anomalous pulmonary venous connection, which present as a increased pulmonary blood flow. There is three type of TAPVC: supracardiac, infracardiac, and intracardiac. So in supracardiac, pulmonary veins are opening in superior vena cava. In infracardiac, pulmonary veins are opening into inferior vena cava, and in intracardiac, pulmonary veins are opening into coronary sinus or sinus venosus. So infracardiac TAPVC mostly associated with obstructed TAPVC and present early in the neonatal life with deep cyanosis, and supracardiac TAPVC may present as without cyanosis and present with the CHF after 4 to 6 week of life, like large ASD, and X-ray of the supracardiac TAPVC will show figure of 8 or snowman appearance. Next is Epstein anomaly. In Epstein anomaly, the atrioventricular wall of right side of tricuspid wall displaced downwards, and there is atrialization of right ventricle. So this wall produce right ventricular outflow tract and decrease the pulmonary blood flow, and right ventricular blood goes to right atrium blood goes to left atrium through the patent foramen ovale, and there is mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So this is condition with decreased pulmonary blood flow and admixture physiology. So patient will present with mild to moderate cyanosis and early in the life. So on clinical presentation, we can classify all the cyanotic heart disease in three category. First is deep cyanosis with early presentation if in life or with parallel circulation and atresias like pulmonary atresia, tricuspid atresia, and parallel circulation is TGA with intact septum without any shunt. Second group is moderate cyanosis with heart failure. So there is increased pulmonary blood flow leading to heart failure. So these are admixture physiology with like a single ventricle without PS, TAPVC. Then third category is mild cyanosis with late presentation and progressive disease. These are VSD PS physiology, typically TOF, and single ventricle with decreased pulmonary blood flow when single ventricle associated with pulmonary stenosis. So I have covered all cyanotic heart disease, and if one thing is to remember is if you allotted a case in exam of any cyanotic congenital heart disease and child age more than 1 year, then in auscultation you can say S1 normal, S2 single, and ejection systolic murmur grade 3 even without auscultation, and you will be right in 99% of cases. So always keep in mind, in cyanotic heart disease beyond infancy, there will be S1 normal, S2 single, and injection systolic murmur of grade 3. Thank you and best of luck for your semester exam.